Hey guys! Of course, I'm already having internet issues, so let me know if the connection gets bad. I'm gonna give you guys a few minutes to hop on. I'm gonna silence my phone because, of course, as soon as I pull it up, I start getting tons of text messages and emails. Okay, cool. So, even if you didn't win the relationship reading, what I did was I went through and I got everybody's numbers for them. And so I went through and I looked at each couple's numbers and like added up how many I got because there's 9 different patterns. So I saw, hey, Evelyn, I hope I'm saying that right. I'm assuming it's Evelyn. Let me know if that's wrong. But I'm excited that you're here. And so, yeah, I looked at the 9 different patterns and I looked at how many people had matches to those 9 different patterns. And so I picked the numbers that had the most matches. This one was actually like the majority of people applied, either matched both in their relationship or at least one of the two with them or their partner. So even if it's not your, okay, good, I'm saying it right. Even if it's not your relationship that's being read, there's still a chance that you have matches to one of the two people in this. And if not, and you're interested, if after this you really want to learn about yours, we can always set up a personal reading for me to really dive into you and your partners. But so the numbers, like, let me just start from the beginning with the fact that this is really more astrology based. Like, I'm no astrology expert, but this branch of astrology, like this brand of it, it's the type that's used with feng shui or feng shui, however you say that. And it's called 9 Star Key. And so I really can't tell you how it works or why, but it's the way it works is you have 3 different numbers based on your birth date. You look in this little chart and it gives you your numbers. And then from there you can tell your first number is your main personality. Your second number is your like where you go in times of stress. It's also like your inner child stuff. So if you have kids, they're likely living out of their second number more often than you would as an adult. And then your third number is your life purpose. And so it's kind of like the theme for the challenges that you'll face in stepping into this life purpose. And so today we are only going to focus on that second number. I don't want to go into all 3. There's a chance I may scatter and like try to cover all the things. Hopefully I rein myself back in because I really want to focus just on the pattern that we go into when we are stressed. And so why I think this works is, okay, so have you ever just been having like a crazy week and then you read about like the astrology for the week and what's going on and what it's bringing up and it's like, oh, okay. Like once you learn about Mercury retrograde and you realize that like all the times you've ever had like a broken laptop or like when you get in huge fights, it's usually during a Mercury retrograde period. We really are affected by what's happening in the stars. And I don't really know the how or the why of it. I just know that I personally relate. Once I started following the moon cycle, I was able to really see my own pattern that I would have like this meltdown about a week before the full moon, like without any sort of like, it was steady. This was a constant in my life. And then once I realized that and I started to see the pattern and see that like, oh, I'm having a breakdown, and I'd look up when the next full moon is and I'm like, oh, okay, it's in about like 7 days. That makes sense why I'm losing my shit today. And then I was able to kind of find some freedom from it. Like I don't have a meltdown a week before the full moon anymore. I have them, they're different. But I was able to free myself from that pattern with my awareness. And so the way I feel astrology works is that if we are affected by it, if we can feel it in our daily lives, then it makes sense that the day that we're born, like the energy that we're born into is going to sort of shape who we are and how we interact with the world and our path and how that's going to look for us. And so this is what this 9-star key astrology is really good for, is like seeing your patterns of how you show up as a person, how you show up under stress, and like the struggles that you're going to go through, and the bigger picture of why, you know, that life purpose of why you're facing the same effing problem over and over again. Like once you can see it, it takes the personal stuff out of it. Like it's no longer personal, which is why I love to do this in relationships. Because when you can see your pattern and you can see their pattern and you can see that it's just a pattern, that it actually has nothing to do with you, and they can see it has nothing to do with them, it really frees up so much energy for like the good stuff. And then you don't sit there feeling attacked all the time or feeling like your partner doesn't care. And that maybe it's just their personal pattern that when they're stressed, they hide and they go into this little cave. And it actually has nothing to do with you. Because I took that personal for like 10 years. Like I wish I had known this stuff 10 years ago. But here I am learning it now. And so that's why I really am excited to share it. And so I do have notes that I'm going off of because I don't want to miss any important stuff. So let me just pause. Okay, so yeah. So based off of your birth date, you are likely to go into one of these 9 specific patterns under stress. Like one of these 9 is specifically how you deal with stress. And so, like I said, I looked up everybody's birthdays, I looked up everybody's numbers and picked the numbers that the most people had a match to. And so, yeah, once you can see this pattern and you can start responding, you can start living your life more intentionally. You're not going to be ruled by this pattern. This pattern isn't going to be like swinging you around and controlling you. You'll actually be able to see it and you'll be able to work with it more consciously, and you'll be able to start responding to things rather than reacting. Like when we're reactive and when we're reacting to what's going on, that's coming from a really emotional place, which is, you know, not the most reliable place to respond from, because our emotions can change so quickly. So we'd rather be able to react and to do this consciously and with intention, so that you can start experiencing a little more control in your life, like healthy control. You don't feel out of control. You won't feel so much like you're a victim of circumstance. And you'll be able to have more confidence in how to handle your stressful times. Like now, like I was just telling the babysitter everything on my plate. She's like, yeah, so you're having a good week. Like you're not stressed at all. And I was like, yeah, the fact that I still have hair is amazing. And it's because I know my pattern. I know how to take care of myself when I'm in this space. Like I am full on crazy pants with stress right now. But I know how to take care of me, so I'm like actually doing amazing while losing my mind, if that even makes sense. But that's sort of where I feel that I'm at, is that I'm able to just really take care of me. And now that I can take care of me, I can take care of the people around me. And I can love me, and I can love the people around me. And I can understand me, and I can understand the people around me. And I really feel like understanding and compassion and being able to see someone only comes from being able to do it with yourself first. And it really is the key to experiencing more peace and happiness and joy and like all the good things in your life. So with that said, does anybody have any questions before I dive into the specific energy patterns, these 2 energy patterns that I'm going to talk about? I'll give you guys a couple minutes. Jamie, retrograde and I do not get along. Yes. Once you can kind of get more familiar with retrograde and see the purpose of it and the benefits of it, then it doesn't affect you so harshly. You'll be able to kind of roll with it a little easier. At least that's been my experience with it. But cool, yeah, so if we don't have any other questions, I will dive right in. So this couple, and I'm not going to say any names, this is going to be totally anonymous. So this couple, I'm going to start with, I'll start with the woman, the person who applied. So she is a number 7 energy type. And so this energy type is associated with the element. So each energy type has a specific element that it's associated with, like metal, fire, water, and earth, some variety of those. And so, or wood's another one. So this is a metal element. pattern. And so if you think about metal, anything that touches metal, metal is going to really accommodate that. So if you apply heat to metal, that metal's going to get really hot. If you apply something cold to metal, that metal's going to get really cold. And it's kind of like this conduit for other energies. And so this number 7 pattern, this stress type, I'm going to call it a stress type from here on out so we can have a little more clarity there. So this number 7 stress type is really in tune with other people's energies when they're stressed. So now I'm going to speak directly to the person doing the reading. So when you are stressed, you are likely to really be super in tune with what everyone else around you needs, even if that's not your natural personality. Like once you're stressed, you start feeling everybody else's stuff. And so you can go into denial mode of your own stuff and really start to, like deny your own needs and start taking care of everybody else. The image that they use for this is like the band on the Titanic. And so the Titanic is sinking, but they're just like, hey, one more song. Like, can we get somebody a drink? Like they're trying to be the perfect hostess and make this chaotic situation a little more beautiful for everybody. So the number 7s enjoy for things to look pretty on the outside also. So when there is stress and when there is conflict, like you're gonna want to take care of everybody and make sure everyone's taken care of and not yourself. You're really not gonna focus on your own needs. And so there's sort of this like inner chameleon in you, so that when you are with a group or when you are stressed, you're going to be able to shift and become whatever you need to become for the people around you. Okay, Danny, we'll see you later. It'll be recorded and posted. So yeah, so you'll be able to really shift and accommodate the people around you, which people will love that about you. Like you will easily be able to like get a good rapport going with people. People are going to like you. You're going to be so like sweet and accommodating, and people are just going to love how giving and caring you are. But the thing that can happen is that you can totally lose sight of your authentic self, and you can really forget about you in the process. And so you're so used to accommodating other people when you're stressed, and when there's conflict, you're so used to giving to others that you forget about yourself. And so you're not used to being you, and you don't know how to be you anymore. Like you're always pinging off of other people, like looking for that source of heat. So you're like, okay, do I need to be warm right now? Like you're warm, so let me be warm, or you're cold, so let me be cold, instead of just thinking about like, well, who am I and what do I want? And so you can get really lost in someone else's stuff when you're in a conflict. So like in your relationship, when there's stress, when there's strain or conflict, you may get really involved in their feelings. You may get really attached and sensitive to what they're going through. And you absolutely, it's coming from a great place. You want to help them, you want to accommodate, and you want to serve them. And what can actually happen is like your energy doesn't really belong with that person. You really shouldn't. Not that you shouldn't, but it doesn't really serve you to be caught in their stuff. And so it can be really hard for you to relax. It can be really hard for you to figure out what you need in a situation and what you need in your relationship, what you need in that conflict. And so conflict can go unresolved. Like that's one thing that's coming up for me, is that it can be really hard for you to find happiness in a relationship because you lose yourself in the process. So anytime there's conflict, you go out the window and it becomes about that other person. And so, and especially depending on their energy type, like that can turn into an even messier thing. And so the real big thing for you, like the lesson here for you through your relationships, is going to be learning how to lean back and be with yourself, and to get really grounded in yourself and get to know your needs and your desires, and be able to decide like if you want to be warm or if you want to be cold, rather than pinging off of all of these other people around you. And so I feel like I am missing something important here. Yeah, okay, so it's like you can struggle to find your happiness in your relationship because you're not even in the equation anymore. And you're issues behind the conflict aren't going to get resolved because you're not in the equation anymore. But also, like, you can just experience a lot of stress and anxiety and a lot of policing yourself and really being hard on yourself, and you can get really perfectionistic. Like, you will become that perfect hostess who is just so worried about making sure everyone experiences all the beautiful things, you know, that you can make everyone's experience as perfect as possible. And really what that looks like is you running around like a crazy person. Like, no one can really sit and enjoy you because you're so worried about them enjoying themselves and enjoying the party. And so if you're not able to sit and engage with your guests and be there and be a presence, and you're like running around like this energetic tornado, like trying to make sure everyone else is taken care of, when really what they're needing is you and your presence. Like, people don't come to your party for your perfect appetizers and your perfect drink. Like, they come for you and to see you and be with you. And so when you can stop denying your own needs and you can really be present, you automatically create a perfect environment. Like, the keywords for this one, like the pattern, is denial versus pleasure. So your pattern can be to deny yourself, deny your needs, deny that the situation is actually happening. Like, you know, the band on the Titanic, denying that the ship is sinking, hoping that if they don't talk about it, like, everyone's experience of it will be better somehow. Denying your needs. Yeah, denying yourself, like your soul, your authentic you, and your path and your place in this relationship. Or it's like the stress pattern and then like the gift. So the gift for you is pleasure. Like, you are a pleasure to everyone around you naturally. Like, your 50% effort is probably about the same as someone else's 100% effort. Like, you are just naturally able to accommodate people and able to take care of them and hold space for them and be this like beautiful presence in people's lives. If you're able to be present, if you're able to sit back and be with you and to be present with you and your needs, and if you can be this steady whole thing, like, think about how strong metal is and what metal is capable of. Like, you could really build this huge foundation in your relationship, but it has to be built within you first. Like, you can't take care of everyone else and not take care of you. That's going to result in, like, you know, burnout, a lot of self-judgment, never feeling good enough because you're always wanting to give like another 150%. Even if you throw the best party ever, if you can't sit back and enjoy it, you're going to be like worried next time about like, well, how can I make this even better? How can I make this closer to perfect? And you're never going to hit perfect. So you may as well learn how to sit back and enjoy where you're at now. So does that make sense? Is anybody, like, how is everybody feeling about that? Does anybody relate to that? Anybody feel a match to that? Or maybe they know someone who's a match to that? I would love to hear y'all's thoughts. I can pause to answer some questions. My pattern is coming into play of scatteredness, so I'm sorry if that was a little crazy. Let me make sure I'm not forgetting anything. Like the little hearts. Yeah, okay, so this is something that comes up too. This is kind of like how to be with this pattern in a way that feels good in your relationship. Triple yang metal here. Yeah, so Lindsay, you get it. You probably could come and like do a live on it and write the book. Like, the next one is actually my stress pattern, so I can talk about that all day because I totally get it. So if you have anything you want to add or share, Lindsay, you're more than welcome. So yeah, you can feel this huge responsibility in all of your interactions. Like, obviously we talked about taking care of people, not putting your needs in there, but you can feel so responsible for other people's experience. And like I said, then you can start getting your energy mixed in with theirs and start trying to fix them and create a beautiful space for them. When really, like, yes, so much self-judgment, you can really start to like question how you're doing things and feel like you're not doing them well enough. So if your partner is unhappy, you're going to think it's because you're not doing something good enough. And so you're going to be like, what do you need? How can I help you? Like, how can I give you all the things? And then based on their pattern, they'll react to that in a number of different ways. There's 9 different ways they could respond to that. And so when you're able to just like let go of that responsibility of other people's experience and your partner's experience, and you're able to let him just be with you, like it frees both of you up to enjoy the moment and to enjoy the relationship that much more, because you're not going to be so stressed and worried, and you're not going to be all out in the future and worrying about what they're doing and what they need. You'll actually be here. And so not only will your experience be better, your experience with life will change and it'll feel like you're living your life again and not just always planning and judging it. Like you'll actually be in it. And then for your partner, he'll actually feel like he has you. Like he won't feel like he's trying to chase you, or because that comes up of just this feeling of like he just doesn't know where you are. Like he just needs you to land somewhere so that you can receive what he's offering. Like if he's trying to love you and you're trying to take care of him, then you can't really receive that love. And so being able to come home to yourself and relax into yourself and ground and create this space for you to have needs and for you to have desires, then you'll be able to receive what he's giving in the relationship. And so that really, I feel like that wraps up for me. I did want to share an affirmation for that. So with the book on this, Louise Hay wrote some affirmations for each energy type. And so I think a really good way to shift this, like when you notice this pattern coming up and you notice that you're going into this space, use this affirmation. This will help you to rebalance your energy and to come back into you. And so the affirmation is just simply, people love me when I am myself. And so just remind yourself of that. When you start wanting to take care of others, and when you start wanting to make things perfect, and when you're like worried about what you need to do so that your partner loves you or so your partner has a better experience in your relationship, you can just close your eyes and like put your hands on your heart and just like let it go. Just come back and remind yourself, people love me when I am myself. And know that that's all you need to do is just sit there and be you. And like naturally people will have a good experience. They will actually receive all the things you're trying to give them. So love it. I love it too. It feels good. Like 7 is actually my 3rd number. So I kind of relate to that on the big picture life path stuff. So yeah, if you are the 7, if you relate to any of this, you are more than welcome to reach out and chat with me. I would love to chat more about it. And then also we will be diving super deep into this in the Awaken to Love course. But I want to dive into her partner's energy pattern now. And so this one I can talk about with so much more ease because this is my stress pattern also. So the number 9 stress pattern. And this one, I think there were like 6 9s in the group. So this pattern is a common one in the group, as well as 7s. I think we had maybe 5 7s out of the people who applied. And I think out of that, I think I had 4 couples who had 7s and 9s. And so the pattern here is a tendency towards drama, and then the gift is joy. And the element associated with it is fire. And so I actually find a lot of clients that I've spoken to have this fire energy as their stress pattern. So some of you, we may have actually already talked about this on a call before, or you may have this may be a little bit of my message too, because it's really my personal struggle. So what can happen with the number 9 when they're stressed? If you think of like a fire that is so when you're under stress, it's like your fire is just starting to scatter. So you can just start sending your energy out to all the things. Like when your emotions start to really start rolling and they start to create this current, and then you're stressed, a number 9 is just going to get swept away in that current. Like that fire energy is just going to take over. Like your emotions are almost like gasoline on your healthy fire. Like we all have this healthy fire, and I'm like, you can't see in the thing in the video, but it's like in your belly. You know, you have that fire in your belly, and that's like your fire, your life source. And so for a number 9, when they get stressed, their energy is going, that fire is just going to, like you were just putting all this gasoline in on all these emotions, all these feels, and just get totally swept away. And so then that fire just scatters. And what happens is not only does that fire start to like F shit up, it also leaves you depleted. And so this is the first part I want to talk about. And so it's just what happens when that fire is depleted is you have this fire in your belly, and then you have your heart center in your chest at your heart. And so if you think of like all of this fire just going everywhere else, then the heart sinks and the heart can shut down. And since heart energy is the number 9's gift, like a number 9 can bring so much joy to people. And so they're like the embodiment of warm, nurturing. Like think of like a cozy fire that's in a proper container, like what fire can do when it's maintained. Like it can bring you warmth, that you can cook on it. Like it's just this, it can be light. So there's so much potential to this fire, but if this container of it isn't maintained and it scatters, it can like seriously burn some shit down. And it can leave you feeling totally depleted. You can shut your heart down. Or the other thing is that the heart may try to compensate. And so your heart will be really super involved in everyone else's stuff. So like the general pattern seems to be the same with all of these. It's just how it happens. So your heart can start to really get invested in the emotional stuff of everybody else instead of coming back to you and taking care of your fire. And so what happens with that fire energy is like you can get really, so once it starts to scatter, that's when you get anxious, and that's when you get stressed, and you start to feel like you're feeling all the feels. Like all of a sudden, one stressful situation, like once you start to feel the stress of that, it becomes like 7 stressful situations. Like I'm famous for that, of being like, oh my God, like I get really stressed about one thing, and then it's like all the things. So then it's like, I'm stressed about this, but then I also have blah, 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 blah. Like you can totally catastrophize a situation. You can get really lost in the feels. And so this person can bring a lot of big drama to a situation. Their life can be very dramatic. They can get really lost in the hopelessness of a situation. And so since your partner is a man, like it comes up like he's not really allowed to do that. Like he's not really socially allowed to get lost in the feels. So it can come on as panic attacks, as anxiety, stress, burnout, anger. It's not uncommon for a number 9 to lash out and like say things they don't mean and do things that they'll regret later. Because when you're in that scattered place, you're in a frantic emotional space. You are not in a grounded, responsive place. You're in this like frantic, reactive space. And so there's like a huge potential for careless action. Like, so that is what I'm referring to when I talk about like those scattered little individual fires going and starting to like, it turns into this wildfire and can just burn things down because you're putting a little fire here, a little fire there, a little fire there. And so he may get angry. He may lash out. He may just say there's no point in fixing this stuff. You know, I feel like it may, once his heart shuts down, like it's going to look different than when a woman's heart shuts down. Like once my fire spreads and shuts down, I'm like, oh my God, the world is terrible. Like life is so hard, you know, and I cry and I like drama. But a man isn't really going to go to that space. Not usually. Like he's not really expected to be dramatic. So his drama may come in the form of anger and, like I feel like when his heart shuts down, and I'm not even going to keep saying a man because it's his energy right now I'm feeling, when he shuts down, it's going to be more about like a wall, like all the feels are just trapped inside. And so he is going to go into that shut down place rather than that feeling space. So one thing that comes up that would be really big for him is going to be able to have the space to be in the feels. And so since your energy type can really turn into like hostessing and fixing, when he gets to that space of feeling scattered or overwhelmed or anxious or angry, like you automatically, you don't exist anymore. And you're like, let me help and fix you. How do I do that? And his energy just isn't there. He's not in a responsive space. He's in a reactive space. His fire is spread. His heart is shut down. He's not going to be able to tell you what he needs. And so he will shut down and put up a wall, and you will likely keep like throwing darts at him, like, tell me what you need, tell me what you need, tell me what you need. And so to him, it feels like nagging. And to you, it feels like he doesn't care and he's checked out and he's shut down. But really, it's both of your energetic patterns at play. Like his pattern is to shut down and your pattern is to fix someone else. So what would really be like the healthiest way, if once you see these patterns, when you see this starting to play out, because likely this is how all of your arguments go, it's usually just going to be a different subject, but it's the same stuff that comes up. So when you start to see him getting overwhelmed or getting angry or starting to, you can see his fire starting to spread, instead of like you can just ask yourself, how do we sidestep this pattern? You can remind yourself that people love me when I'm myself. So all you need is to just be there as you, whole, just there and steady. You can be this, solid metal structure for him. And you can accommodate him without being in his energy, without trying to fix him and without trying to fix his problems. Because likely he's going to go in catastrophe mode when really once those feelings pass, like he can probably fight and be crazy and then like move on and it's totally fine because that energy has burned off and he's good. So really the more you're able to pull your energy back and focus on what you need and just hold the space for him to be where he's at, the easier it's going to be. It's like the more energy you put into it, it's going to be like adding more gas. Like when you're adding emotions to his emotions, it adds more gas to that fire and stuff is going to just spread. And so for him, his responsibility in that, when he starts to notice that pattern, the way he can shift it is by physically burning off that excess fire energy. So he can start creating a healthy container. He can start nurturing his fire. And so like when a fire starts to get out of control, like when he starts to feel it building, if he goes and exercises, like, I don't know, I feel like he might run or lift weights or something, some sort of physical way of like burning it off. You can even just jump up and down. Like I've done that. I'm like, I'm not going for a walk or a run and I just do jumping jacks or just jump up and down in your living room. And then you can kind of breathe. Like you don't feel the urgency of the emotions anymore. And so for him, that will be huge. That was something that changed my life. And so if you're someone in here who relates to that 9, since he's not here, winner, I'm not going to say your name. If you want to share this with your husband, you could share that, that exercising, physical movement, anything to get that fire energy out. And then taking time to get grounded with people he loves or doing something fun. Laughter also helps to burn that out. So maybe going see a funny movie when y'all are fighting or, I don't know, there's a variety of things. We could really dive into that in a full session on you guys personally, what would come up there. But that is the biggest thing. So if you are in here and you're relating to the number 9 stress pattern, it's going to be learning to get grounded, learning to connect to your heart, and knowing that taking care of yourself, nurturing that fire is going to be what allows you to be a source of warmth, that you are this healthy fire and you are not this fire like burning shit down. It's going to come with taking care of yourself and learning your needs and being able to get grounded and get out of the feels and get into this responsive place rather than a reactive place. And so the same goes for all the patterns. It's like being able to see this pattern and respond consciously with awareness, with attention, intention, and then you're able to really start to shift this pattern and start to see some change. And so even if your partner's not interested in this kind of stuff, like mine's not, But me being able to work on myself, I can be in conflict without it affecting me the way it used to, because I know how to take care of me. I know how to sidestep my own patterns. And what's funny is once one person kind of starts to show up a little differently, it creates space for the other person to show up differently. At first, they might be super pissed about it. Like once I stopped replying with like gasoline and like fire everywhere, like it usually any sort of shift in how you show up, especially if it's a pattern, may not initially be met with the best feels. But it's just because they don't know they're like, wait, what's happening here? I know this fight, I know this pattern, I know how this goes, and now I don't know what to expect and I feel unsafe. So they can feel a little vulnerable because you're being more vulnerable and you're being more real and honest, and it's totally changing the energy of the situation. But the more you do it, the more comfortable it becomes and the easier it becomes, and the more it opens up the energy in the relationship for healing and healthy interaction and healthy stress, because you're always going to come into stress and conflict, and it's going to be about learning how to see your patterns and how to see their patterns, and to stop taking it personal, and to just really experience more love, and more understanding and more compassion. And then once you're in that place, like automatically the emotions behind it, they can just they just kind of flow away, I would love to hear if anybody relates to that. I know it's like, sometimes it's hard to stand up and be like, oh, I'm an emotional fire, like, whoops. But if anybody feels that they relate to that, if anybody has questions, I am free for questions. Or if you have like a pattern that you like want a little bit of insight into, I can maybe take a couple minutes to dive into that. And then I'm going to check my notes and make sure that I don't forget something important. Yeah, so the two things I just want to recap, the two tools for dealing with this. So for the number 7 stress pattern, the denial and pleasure pattern, it's going to be just reminding yourself, like, people love me when I am myself. Like, all I have to do is show up and be me. All I have to do is show up whole and like me, and I am good enough. My best is good enough. My half best is equivalent to other people's best. Like, I am more than enough naturally, just as I am, without effort. And then being able to just return to you, and that affirmation that people love me when I am myself, that's going to bring you back to you. And for the number 9 stress pattern, that drama and joy is going to be about caring for your heart and caring for your maintaining your fire so that your heart can stay open and balanced. And so when you're able to burn off that excess fire, then you sort of reclaim this balance between your fire and your heart, and you're able to reclaim your joy and to experience life with more joy. And when the number 7 stops trying and stops hosting and is able to like step back from that perfectionist place, then you're able to experience pleasure in so many more ways. People will enjoy your presence so much more. Like, you will automatically bring good vibes to the people around you, and you'll be able to receive more from the people around you. You won't be so busy doing that you can't receive. I think that's going to be really, really important, is just being able to picture a party. Like, so many people, they spend forever planning their weddings, and then they're so crazy busy they don't even get to enjoy them. That's like, you don't want your whole life to be that way, right? Like, you don't want to spend your whole life like planning it and perfecting it and doing it, that you don't ever get to sit back and enjoy it. And so that, for both of you, like, you being able to sit back and enjoy yourself, then you'll be able to sit back and be this sturdy space and hold this space for him when he is feeling his emotions just fly into shutdown mode. And so when you hold that space, he'll be able to let down that wall a little easier and feel safer to start feeling those feelings, so that he can start, nurturing himself and healing his heart and being more present in the relationship. And so just know that if he is setting a wall and if he is like withdrawing, it's not personal. It's not about you. It's about his own stuff. And so same thing for you. If you start messing with his energy and he's getting, defensive about it, like remember that, like for him to remember that it's not personal, that you're not trying to fix him, that you're just actually trying to deny your own stuff. So with everybody, anytime you're in conflict, we're almost always trying to deflect and deal with our own stuff. So know it firsthand. Yes, Tay, we have talked about this a lot. And Jamie, relate to most of it. Yeah, so there's 9 different patterns. Like you may not relate, some of you may not relate to any of this. And so, but if it interests you, if you think knowing this can change your life, which it's totally changed mine, like learning this pattern about myself has changed my entire life and my view on myself and how I experience myself. And always how you experience yourself is how you're going to experience the world. So if you want to shift that, if you want to really change the way you experience your life and the way you experience yourself and start feeling more loving and compassionate and confident and safe and stable, supported, balanced, like there is so much goodness that can come from opening up your heart and really diving into your relationship with yourself. Like if that is at all something you're wanting, then please message me. Let's talk about the Awaken to Love program. We start on Monday. The cart closes on Saturday. And I have 1 space left that comes with a free energy clearing, which actually is based in this 9-star key astrology. So it helps to clear out the blocks that are keeping these patterns stuck and really start this journey on a fresh, clean slate with so much potential. So I have 1 space left for that. And then I have 3 spaces left in the course. And again, energy burps. I don't know if anyone else deals with that. As I process stuff, it has to physically bubble out. Anyways, we will be starting on Monday, and we've already started the bonus lessons are already available. The bonus meditation is available. I've done some videos about those things if you want some more information. I'll post a link to my YouTube page, which has all of them on it. I'll also post a link to the course page so you can get some more information. And just know that you can get whatever you want out of this program. It doesn't even have to just be your relationships. It could be literally anything. That's why I did the bonus course on setting intentions, because it can be really scary to say yes to something that you want. It can bring up a lot of stuff. And also it can feel not so much, not doable. So if you feel like you're wanting to say yes, but there's stuff coming up, I understand. When you take the time to set your intentions and claim, this is what I want in exchange for my time, in exchange for my energy, in exchange for my financial investment, and then do the work. So if you can set that intention and then you show up and you just do the work for 6 weeks, you will get what you want. It's actually pretty crazy how it works. I've said yes to some really scary things, and I've been totally blown away by what comes of them. So I would love to chat with anybody who is interested, anybody who wants some more information or just wants to chat about what's going on in their life and you're not sure if it's a good fit, but you think maybe it can help, but you just don't really know and you want to chat about it. Message me, comment on here. We can set up a call. I am available. I will be around. And this was so much fun. I'm thinking I'm going to start doing more stuff like this because I love it. I love being able to share some goodness. So if you have any questions, feel free to post them on the comments. I will post the links to the YouTube page and the course page if you want more information on that. And then also if you want to go through your personal energy patterns, if you want to learn your personal 9-star key and do a relationship reading of your own, I will also post a link for scheduling that. And sorry, I just seen your comment, Taylor. It's not just my relationship that it's helped everything in my life. Exactly. Relationships are just one small symptom of the way you experience the world. So when you can shift one little thing inside of you, then 20 things around you are going to shift also. It's really beautiful how that works. But yeah, thanks for joining me live. Thanks for watching the replay if you're here on the replay. And thanks for letting me share with you. I had so much fun, and I'm looking forward to hearing what you guys think about this. Sending you lots of love.